You ever feel like the world just doesn't see you? Like you're grinding day in, day out, and nobody notices. You're out there bleeding, sweating, suffering, but all people care about is the loudest voice in the room. The show-offs, the flexers. Let me tell you something, real talk is cheap. Noise is cheap. You know what's rare? That savage who shows up every damn day when no one's watching. That beast who trains in the dark, bleeds in the dark, fails in the dark, and doesn't say a single word. Because they know one true thing: real work doesn't need a spotlight. It becomes a spotlight. People ask me all the time, David, how do I get what I want? And I tell them, shut your mouth and do the work. You want to be special. You want to be elite. Then stop posting every little move you make. Start living in the shadows. That's where the transformation happens. That's where legends are made. You build your mind when the applause is gone. You build your strength when the cameras are off. You build your discipline when nobody gives a damn if you succeed or fail. This world is obsessed with instant gratification. Like followers, fake praise has to be in, and none of it means a damn thing. The pain you put in behind closed doors, that's the only currency that matters. You don't need validation when you're owning your soul. You don't need motivation when your mission is bigger than your mood. Most people crumble when no one's cheering for them, but not you. You got to find power in being unseen. You got to find pride in the work when it's lonely. You got to fall in love with the grind that no one claps for. Because that grind, that's the one that changes you. That's the one that takes you from average to savage. You want to shock the world. Don't scream, don't broadcast, don't beg for attention. Just do. Do when it's hard. Do when it hurts. Do when it's unfair. Do until they have no choice but to look your way. And even then, keep your damn head down and keep working. Because the loudest in the room, they fade, but the silent killers, they rise every single time. You got dreams, goals, big ambitions. Good. Keep your damn mouth shut about them. Everyone's out here running their mouth, telling the world what they're going to do. I'm going to start this. I'm going to be that. Watch me. But here's the truth. Nobody cares until you deliver. You want to be great. Then stop announcing every move like you need permission to be who you say you are. You don't need applause to chase something. You don't need a camera to prove you're working. You need to lock in, suffer in silence, and let your actions be the only voice you speak with. The moment you open your mouth to talk about what you're doing, you start borrowing pride you haven't earned yet. That's a trap, because now you're chasing attention, not achievement. Talking gives you that little hit of dopamine, makes you feel like you already did the work, but you didn't. You just talked. And talking never built a legacy. It never broke records. It never made you unbreakable. You got to become that person who doesn't say a damn word. But when they walk in a room, people feel something. Not because you told them who you are, but because your presence proves it. Every mile, every brutal session behind closed doors. That's what builds a version of you that no one can ignore. Not the words, not the hype, the work. Anyone can show up when there's a crowd. Anyone can grind when there's praise coming in, when the cameras are rolling, when someone's clapping for them. But you strip that away. No one watching, no one cheering, no likes, no retweets. And that's when you find out who the hell you really are. Most people fall apart in silence because they're addicted to attention, not committed to the process. But the savage, the one who's built different, he trains when it's dead silent. When the world's asleep, he's putting in the miles. When there's no reward in sight, he's still pushing the weight. Because the real war isn't out there. It's in here. You build your strength when no one's validating it. You earn your edge when you got every reason to quit. And you still don't. You think I became who I am because I waited for someone to clap for me. Hell no. I showed up when it sucked. I showed up when I didn't feel like it. I showed up when it was cold, when it was dark, when no one cared. That's where the work lies. That's where greatness is hiding. In the reps nobody sees, the early mornings nobody talks about, and the lonely grind that suggests something deep in your soul. And if you only train when the lights are on, you'll break the second they turn off. But if you master the shadows, you'll own the light. You want to know what separates the ones who talk about it from the ones who are about it? Silence. That's right. Pure, brutal, lonely silence. Because when no one's watching and there's no one to impress, that's when the real test begins. You strip away the noise and all that's left is you vs you. No music, no crowd, no hype man, just that inner voice saying, quit. And what do? You tell it to shut the hell up and you keep going. Silence exposes weakness. It pulls all your excuses to the surface. And that's where you have a choice and either run from it or confront it. Most people run. They need the noise to distract themselves from who they are. But if you want to be uncommon among uncommon people, you've got to sit in that silence and let it beat the soft parts out of you. Every time you suffer in silence, every time you grind out recognition, you're building something no one can steal, mental toughness. That unbreakable, unshakable mindset that says, I don't need anyone to believe in me. I believe in myself. You don't get that from motivational quotes. You don't get that from likes or followers. You get that from doing the hard things over and over with no one watching and no one clapping. Just pure discipline. That's how warriors are made. That's how you build a mind that can't be broken. You think validation is going to carry you through the dark. You think someone clapping for you is going to get you through mile 30, hour 10, or day 200 when you haven't seen results. Let me break it to you. Validation is a drug. And most people are straight up addicts. They crave approval more than they crave progress. They're chasing praise, not purpose. And the second that validation disappears, so does their effort. That's weakness. You've got to cut that cord. Burn it. Because as long as you're working for someone else's recognition, you don't own yourself. They do. Your work is controlled by their attention. Your worth is chained to their reaction. You're not free and you're not dangerous. You're just loud, and loud fades. But when you stop needing that applause, when you stop performing for the world and start performing for yourself, that's when you become lethal. That's when you can show up at 4 a.m. with no one watching, no one caring, and still go harder than anyone else, not because someone's going to notice, but because you refuse to be average, because your standards are built on your own damn reflection, not someone else's approval. This isn't about attention. It's about identity. Who are you when no one's looking? That's the question. Has B in that. And if you don't like the answer, it's time to stop chasing likes and start chasing pain, because pain will teach you everything attention never could. Everyone wants to be great until they realize greatness is boring as hell. It ain't flashy. It ain't sexy. It's not some Instagram highlight reel. It's the same brutal, repetitive grind over and over and over. Wake up, put in work, suffer, recover, repeat. And the reason most people stay average, they can't handle the repetition. They chase excitement, not execution. They want variety, not victory. But the truth is, consistency is what separates the dangerous from the forgettable. You think champions get there because they did something magical once. Hell no. They showed up and did the same exact thing thousands until it became part of their DNA. When the world gets tired, they're just getting started. When the average person says, I'm bored, the savage says, good, now we're getting somewhere. You can't build anything real off motivation. That wears off. It fades the second life punches you in the face. But discipline shows up when you don't feel like it. Discipline gets up at 5 a.m. when your body's screaming to stay in bed. Discipline doesn't care if it's raining. If you're sore, if you're broken, it only asks one thing: did you show up or not? This is the truth. People run from success as a damn marathon of monotony. If you want the results, you've got to fall in love with the process, the painful, dull, thankless process. Because repetition doesn't build skills. It builds calluses. It builds resilience. And when everything else breaks down, that is what keeps you moving. You want to know where greatness really lies. In the spotlight, it's not in the celebration or the victory laps. It's buried deep in the dark, where no one goes, where no one's clapping, and where most people quit. That's where the pain, that's where the truth lies. And that's exactly where you need to go if you ever want to be more than average. See, the dark doesn't lie to you. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't buy into your self-pity. The dark strips you down to your rawest form and asks, who are you really? That's where I built myself. Not in front of a crowd, but in the middle of hell with nothing but my own will to keeping on. No fanfare, no recognition, just me and the suffering. And I kept showing up. Most people avoid the dark because it's uncomfortable, but that's the whole point. You need discomfort, you need struggle, you need to be broken down so you can rebuild into something stronger. That's what the dark does. It teaches you how to survive, how to adapt, how to keep moving forward when everything inside you is screaming to stop. The dark doesn't care how strong you think you are. It's going to test you. It's going to make you doubt yourself. And if you survive it, if you embrace it, you come out of it forward, sharper, meaner, focused. That's where the shift happens. That you stop pretending and start becoming. So don't run from the dark. Live in there, get in it, own it. Because the dark doesn't destroy you, it defines you. The moment you start thinking you've made it, that you've done enough, that's when the fall begins. That's when the softness creeps in. You get a little praise, a little success, and now you're walking around like you're untouchable. Let me tell you something. You're never untouchable. You're never finished. The second you think you are, life's going to come for you with a vengeance. You ever to be in that. You want to stay dangerous. Keep climbing. You got to stay humble. You got to stay hungry. I don't care what you've done. I care what you're doing right now. You ran a marathon. Good. What did you do this morning? You used to be disciplined. That's cool. What about today? Humility keeps your eyes forward. Hunger keeps your boots on the ground. Without those two things, you get soft, and soft doesn't survive. You got to kill that voice that says, I deserve a break. You got to kill the comfort that comes with past wins, because the grind doesn't care what you did yesterday. It only respects what you're willing to do again without complaining, without needing a trophy, without needing recognition. Every single day I act like I haven't done a damn thing. I wake up hungry for attention, not for praise, for war, for pain, for the next challenge that's going to push me past what I thought was possible. Because the second you start walking around like a king, life will remind you just another person. But if you stay grounded, stay humble, stay in the trenches, you never lose your edge. And that edge, that's what keeps you lethal. Pain is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. But most people run from it like it's a curse. They treat struggle like it's a problem to solve instead of a gift to grow from. Let me tell you something, real pain is where the truth lies. It's where you find out exactly who you are and who you're not. And it doesn't whisper, it screams, it shows up when you're alone, when you're broken, when you've got nothing left but grit and breath. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. You think success comes from feeling good all the time. Hell no. It comes from going through the fire, getting burned and stepping back in again. The people who level up are the ones who don't run when it hurts. They lean in. They invite the suffering because they understand that every ounce of pain is carving away weakness. Every setback, every failure, every moment of discomfort, that's the chisel. And you're the stone. You either let that pain shape you or you crumble under it. You got to stop looking at pain like it's the enemy. It's not. Comfort is there. Ease is the enemy. That voice telling you to stop, to rest, to slow down. That's the enemy. But pain's your coach. It teaches dissipation. It teaches resilience, but only if you're willing to sit with it, to absorb it, to bleed through it without asking, why me? But instead saying, let's go. The stronger version of you is on the other side of that pain, but you'll never meet them if you keep turning around every time it gets hard. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get obsessed with the struggle because pain doesn't break you. It builds you if you're savage enough to endure it.